Hello, Simmers. We're back. Some more Cocytus River Rats Draft Glory franchise mode in FHM 11. And in this one, we are going to go through the start of year number 12. That's right. We're heading into year number 12 now, as we still have not won the Stanley Cup. But I think this has got to be the year to do it because at this point, we are such a stacked team. I mean, we have the 5-star Andreev, we have the 4.5-star Bouchard and Spelkvist, 4-star Katachev, Baxter, Neuenschwander, Stenberg, and then you have a lot of 3.5-star players in Pellizzari, Ellefson, Vananen, Zerker, that's over half our roster right there, right? So we have a loaded team at this point. However, starting next season is when Roman Andreev's extension kicks in, and that is going to be worth $12 million per year for the next 6 years. He's only making 4.8 right now, so we have to get it done. This has to be the year that this roster has to get it done because this roster is never going to be as good as it is right now for the foreseeable future, essentially. Because once Andreev's contract kicks in, that's when we're gonna have to start releasing some players that we may not want to, right? Or trading away players that we may not want to, rather. And that's inevitable at this point, right? So we really have to make this year count. And before we get into the year 12 simulation, we do have a new head coach in Jared Bednar, who is a offensive preference coach. So he's the same preference as Pascal Vincent, who recently retired. So we had to replace Vincent with Jared Bednar, but we'll see how he affects our simulation, especially with the slight differences in his preferences, such as the passive line matching tendency, the aggressive goalie handling, and the conservative innovation. Whereas Vincent was non-physical preference and then balanced everywhere else. Although I think he might have preferred prospects as well. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how Bednar affects this roster. We'll see if we are capable of getting past the second round this year, because that's been the hump that we're trying to get over, right? That's been the really big issue for this team so far, is getting past the second round. But with that being said, let's get right into the year 12 simulation with your Cocytus River Rats. Ooh, first major injury of the year, Zalitas for 3 to 4 months. Ooh, 2 more major injuries, Russo and Spelkvist. Russo down 1 to 2 months. And then Spelkvist, 2 to 3 weeks. All right, not the worst it could have been, but still, I don't like to have any time without him. He's a very key player for us. Oh man, the injuries just keep piling up this year, don't they? Ivor Stenberg out for 2 to 3 weeks. All right, Milos Spelkvist is back on the roster. Good to see, good to see. But unfortunately, we do have a defensive injury here as Takmakov out for 1 to 2 months. Oh, unfortunately, we did have a waiver claim. Simon Novak, I tried to send him down to the minors, but unfortunately, he was claimed off waivers by Nashville. All right, so we're halfway through the season now. We are 29-7-5, which is good enough for first in the division and, of course, first in the league with 63 points. So obviously, so far, nothing to complain about this season. Let's take a look at the player stats real quick. In goal, for Katachev, you have 33 games played, 922 save percentage. He continues to be solid during the regular season. 4 shutouts and a goal saved above average of 15.38. And Nyberg in 9 games played with a 905 save percentage and then negative 0.66 goal saved above average. So Katachev, once again, continues to be absolutely phenomenal. And he's definitely worth whatever salary he makes at this point in time. And if he can replicate that in this year's playoffs, then we may just have the winning recipe here. We may just have the winning recipe. As now we take a look at our skaters, you have Andreev leading the way with 46 points in 41 games played. Bouchard with 41 points. Then you have Baxter with 40 points. So you have 2 just about point per game defensemen. That is absolutely insane. Then you have 37 points for Orr, 36 for Vananen, 31 for Denoye, 29 for Ellefson, 27 for Pellizzari, 26 for Spelkvist in 30 games played, 25 for Stenberg in 30. Then you have 23 for Neuenschwander, 17 for Carlson, 13 for Anderson and Zerker, 10 for Larson, 9 for Takmakov, 8 for Krivenek, 7 for Tanaka and Menhart. Tanaka gets in there. He actually got up to a 2.5-star ability back when we had all those injuries to start the season. So I called him up and he's been up here on the NHL roster ever since. Then you have Russo with 3 points, Zalitas with 2 points in 7 games played, Olofsson with 2. Then you have Storitsky and Pasenka with 1. And then you also have Chinquo, who also was called up to the NHL roster. He's up to a 2-star ability now, so we'll see how his career pans out. So Chinquo and Tanaka make the roster. And I mean, we don't really need to do this considering that we know that we're a really good team this year, but we'll check the team stats anyway. Goals for per game, we're first in the league, tied for first anyway, with a 3.95 goals for per game. Goals against per game, we are third in the league with a 2.66. Face-offs, we're actually 15th in the league with a 50.1. Power play, we are third in the league with a 25%. And penalty kill, we are first in the league with an 86.3. So we are just dominating out there basically everywhere except the face-off circle. But you know what? We're decent in the face-off circle as well. We were at least 50%. So I can't complain too much, especially with the record that we have. So I think with that being said, we can just advance straight to the playoffs here. No reason to stop when it's working this well. All right, so Zelitis is finally back in the lineup after his long injury. So we're going to send Chingguo back down to the AHL. Oh my goodness, our team harmony is actually, it's almost recovered. It's almost completely recovered. That's actually fantastic. That is I think the first time in this series since the first episode that we have had a near perfect team harmony. Just a small click left with Andreev, Carlson, Ellefson, Denoye, and Krivenek. Ooh, two major injuries heading towards the playoffs here. March 12th, you have Andreev out for 2 to 3 weeks. And then you also have Stenberg out again 2 to 3 months. Oh, so he's out to start the playoffs and probably for the majority of the playoffs as well. At least Andreev will be back, but Stenberg, unfortunately, not looking too great for a playoff appearance there. And one more injury right before playoff time. Krivenek out for 3 to 4 months. He's done for the season. And we're at the end of the regular season. We have finished 53, 20, and 9. Good enough for first in the division and first in the league. So we win the President's Trophy with 115 points, which is 9 points better than the second place team, the New York Rangers. So with that, let's take a look at the final season stats. In goal, you have in 63 games played for Katachev, a .919 save percentage and 7 shutouts, and a goal saved above average of 22. So Katachev continues to be absolutely solid. Then you have Nyberg in 21 games played with a .918 save percentage. So bouncing back from his, not bad start to the season, but definitely underwhelming for sure. And he brings his save percentage up to a .918, 1 shutout, and a goal saved above average of 7.08. So in that, we have been this team. If there is any area where this team has been nothing but solid in throughout the majority of this GM mode, it's been goaltending, which is very odd for this game, I will say. And now let's take a look at skaters. Leading the way in point scoring is Blake Baxter with 71 points in 82 games played. Then you have Andreev with 70 points in 70 games played. He probably would have been our point scorer if he had played a full 82. Then you have a 66 for Orr, 64 for Spelkvist and Bouchard, 61 for Vananen, 50 for Denoye, 49 for Stenberg, and 61. Then you have 48 for Ellefson, 46 for Pellizzari, 39 for Neuenschwander, 34 for Carlson, 29 for Zerker and Anderson, 25 for Krivenek, 21 for Larson, 18 for Takmakov, 16 for Menhart, 12 for Tanaka, 9 for Russo, 6 for Zelitis, 2 for Olofsson, and then 1 for Staretsky and Pasenka, and then Jingguo with no points in 15 games played. So I suppose with that, we can simulate ahead and see what we have in the playoffs. And to start things out in the first round, we have the 42, 32, and 8 Florida Panthers. So let's get right into it. Game number 1 against Florida underway, and that will be a 5-4 Cocytus victory. Very nice. Shots are 45-32 in favor of Cocytus. 3 stars of the game are Carlson, Atisani, and Bouchard. First period, you have Hogberg with the first goal of the game for them, but then you have Denoye with our first of the game from Carlson and Pellizzari to make it 1-1, and then it's Neuenschwander from Carlson to make it 2-1 heading into the second period, where it's Addy with the goal for them to make it 2-2, heading into the third period, where it's Baxter with the goal from Larson and Vananen to make it 3-2. Then you have Archibald with the goal for Florida to make it 3-3. Spelkvist with a power play goal. We're going back and forth here from Pellizzari and Orr to make it 4-3. And then it's Etienne Morin with the goal for Florida to make it 4-4 as we head into overtime, where Jonah Neuenschwander gets the goal from Bouchard and Carlson to make it a 5-4 victory in game number 1. And good news is that Andreev is back on the team. So that is a huge boost to our offense and very much welcomed. So here we go into game number 2, and that will be a 4-1 Florida victory. Shots are 32-21 in favor of Cocytus, but they outscore. 3 stars of the game are Addy, Bjarnason, and Dahlin. First period, Addy and Hogberg with the goals gets them started 2-0 in the first period. Then Scantlebury gets another one to make it 3-0 after 2. And then in the third period, you have Neuenschwander with our lone goal of the game from Carlson and Vananen to make it 3-1. But then it's Carson Lambos with the goal to make it a 4-1 Florida victory. And we are tied at 1 in the series. All right, here we go into game number 3. That will be a 4-3 Florida victory. Shots are 49-29 in favor of Florida this time. 3 stars of the game are Attisani, Zalitis, and Frundell. First period, Russo gets the first goal of the game for us from Zalitis and Bouchard to make it 1-0. But then it is Eggermeyer with the goal for Florida to make it 1-1, heading into the second period where it's Frundell to make it 2-1. And then Apo Vananen scores halfway through the period from Denoye and Pellizzari to make it 2-2, heading into the third where it's Spelkvist. So we take a 3-2 lead from Andreev and Orr, but then it's Attisani with the goal to make it tied at 3, where we go to overtime, and then it's Adi with the goal to give Florida a 2-1 series lead. All right, here we go into game number 4. Key game number 4, that will be a 2-0 Florida victory. Shots are 28-25 in favor of Florida. 3 stars of the game, Dahlin, Vananen, and Jackson. First period, Addy with the goal to make it 1-0. Second period, Joey Jackson with the goal to make it 2-0. And third period, no scoring. So that is a 2-0 Florida shutout victory. And we are down 3-1 in the series. All right, here we go. Game number 5. We're going into it. We need to win 3 in a row here, but it starts with 1 win. So let's get off to a good note. And there it is. Roman Andreev with his first goal in the playoffs from Bouchard to make it 1-0. And that'll be it for 1. We're up 1-0 heading into the second period. And there's Florida's first goal from Prudhomme to make it 1-1. And there's 2-1, Spalkvist with the goal from Andreev and Orr. But there's 2-2, Zephyr Harms with the goal. And we're heading into the third period, tied at 2. Come on, guys. There it is. Louis Carlson with his first of the playoffs from Neuenschwander and Ellefson to make it 3-2. Come on, guys. Hold this lead. There it is. So we win game number 5, and we are headed to a game 6. Shots at 38-28 in favor of Costas. 3 stars of the game are Andreev, Scantlebury, and Spalkvist. All right, here we go into game 6. Let's push a game 7 right here. And there it is. Tyson Orr with his first of the playoffs from Spalkvist and Zerker to make it 1-0. And there's a 1-1 goal from Joey Jackson to make it 1-1. Second period time. And there is a 2-1 goal, Zalitis from Baxter and Zerker. There's 3-1 with 1:17 remaining in the second period. Bouchard with his first goal of the playoffs from Andreev and Spalkvist. And we have a 2-goal lead in the third. And there's 4-1, Zalitis with his second of the game from Russo and Zerker. Oh, but there's a goal for Florida. Frundell makes it 4-2. And will that be it? Yes, indeed. We are headed to 7. Good job, boys. Shots at 33-32 in favor of Cocytus. 3 stars of the game are Zerker with the 3 assists, Frundell, and Zalitis. All right, here we go. Game 7, round number 2 on the line. Let's go, Cocytus. And there's the 1-0 goal. Neuenschwander with the goal from Denoye and Ellefson, and we're up by 1. And that'll be it for the first. Shots are 9-6 in favor of Florida, but we have the goal on the board. Second period time. And there's 2-0. Olofsson with the goal from Spalkvist and Orr. I was about to say Ellefson, so there's the Olofsson confusion there. But nonetheless, we were up 2-0. And it'll stay that way heading into the third period. Come on, boys. Hold this lead. There it is. Spalkvist with his 4th of the playoffs from Takmakov and Andreev. And will that be it? Will that be it? No, one more for insurance. Andreev with the unassisted goal. We now lead 4-0. And there's Florida's first goal of the game from Harms. But we get another one from Apo Vananen, from Baxter and Denoye to make it 5-1. And that will be it. We move on to round number 2. Very nicely done, boys. Very nicely done. That is what you like to see. A clutch performance to take it to a game 7 and then move on to the second round after going down 3-1. Shots are 28 apiece. 3 stars of the game are Andreev, Spalkvist, and Denoye. And the second round now we have the 45, 32, and 5 Seattle Kraken. So let's get right to it. And in game number 1, that will be a 4-1 Cocytus victory. Shots are 39-32 in favor of Cocytus. 3 stars of the game are Anderson, Katachev, and Vananen. First period, you have Denoye with the goal, getting things started from Vananen and Carlson to make it 1-0, but then it's Fedorov for them to make it 1-1. Second period, you have Adam Anderson from Bouchard and Baxter to make it 2-1. Heading in the third period, where it's Denoye from Vananen and Carlson to make it 3-1, and then Anderson again for his second of the game from Pellizzari and Larson to make it a 4-1 Cocytus victory, and we're up 1-0 in the series. Here we go. Game number 2 will be a 5-1 Cocytus victory. Shots are 34-29 in favor of Cocytus. 3 stars of the game are Orr, Andreev, and Spalkvist. First period, you have Vananen with the power play goal to make it 1-0 from Spelkvist and Pellizzari. And then you have Neuenschwander from Baxter to make it 2-0 heading into the second period, where it's Andreev with 2 goals. The first from Orr and Ellefson, the second from Orr and Spelkvist to make it 4-0 heading into the third, where it's Spelkvist from Andreev and Orr to make it 5-0. And then Edouard Saleh with the lone goal for Seattle in this game to make it a 5-1 game and a 2-0 series lead for your Cocytus River Rats. All right, here we go. Game number 3 will be a 4-1 Cocytus victory, and we have a 3-0 lead in the series. Shots are 46-35 in favor of Cocytus. 3 stars of the game are Takmakov, Katachev, and Carlson. First period, no scoring. Second period, Ronner gets things started for them, but then you have Andreev from Takmakov and Carlson to make it 1-1, and then Zalidis with 9 seconds remaining in the period from Baxter and Zerker to make it 2-1. And then in the third period, you have Orr from Spelkvist to make it 3-1, and Vananen on the empty net from Takmakov and Carlson to make it a 4-1 victory. Here we go, elimination game 4. We are 1 win away from making it to the third round. Let's go. And there's a goal right off the bat for Roman Andreev, his 6th of the playoffs from Spelkvist and Baxter. But there's the 1-1 goal for Vandrak, or Vaindrak, Mikkel Vaindrak for Seattle to make it 1-1. But there's a goal for Frederick Larson, his first of the playoffs from Anderson and Takmakov to make it 2-1. And that'll be it for 1, heading into the second up by 1. Okay, there's 3-1. Apple Vananen with the goal from Ellefson and Larson. There's 4-1. Larson with his second of the game from Neuenschwander and Pellizzari. And there's 5-1. Andreev from Carlson and Takmakov. And we seem to have this one basically under control. But wait a minute, there's Calder Hamilton for Seattle to make it 5-2. Late in the second period, and as we head into the third period here, anything can happen, but we do have a solid lead. And will that be it? Will that be it? No, not quite. Neckvadel gets the goal. Lubos Neckvadel for Seattle to make it 5-3. But there's 6-3 Axel Ellefson with his first of the playoffs from Pellizzari and Neuenschwander to give us a 6-3 victory, and we sweep the Seattle Kraken and move on to round number 3 for the first time in franchise history. Shots are 28-26 in favor of Seattle. 3 stars of the game are Larson, Ellefson, and Neuenschwander. And in round number 3, we have the 42, 28, and 12 Carolina Hurricanes. So let's get right into it. Game number 1 underway. That will be a 5-3 Cocytus victory. Shots are 39-35 in favor of Carolina. 3 stars of the game are Pellizzari, Dufour, and Larson. First period, you have Denoya on the power play from Pellizzari and Vananen to make it 1-0, and then you have Neuenschwander from Takmakov and Larson to make it 2-0. Then you have Bradley Nadeau with the goal to make it 2-1, heading in the second period, where it's Badinko with the goal to make it 2-2. Heading in the third, where is Balicia for Carolina to make it 3-2. So they actually take the lead, but then it's Pellizzari from Andreev and Ellefson to make it 3-3. Larson from Neuenschwander and Baxter make it 4-3. And then in the final minute on the empty net, Axel Ellefson from Pellizzari to make it a 5-3 victory. Here we go, game number 2, and that'll be a 4-1 Cocytus victory. Shots are 41-29 in favor of Cocytus. 3 stars of the game are Spelkvist, Neuenschwander, and Larson. First period, Neuenschwander with the goal from Pellizzari and Larson to make it 1-0, and then Spelkvist later in the period from Baxter to make it 2-0. And the second period where there's no scoring. Third period, Adam Anderson with the goal from Larson and Neuenschwander. Then you have Jarvis with the goal to make it 3-1, but then it's Tyson Orr from Spelkvist and Takmakov to make it a 4-1 Cocytus victory, and we are up 2-0 in the series. All right, here we go. Game number 3. That will be a 4-2 Cocytus victory, and we are up 3-0 in the series just like that. Shots are 38-31 in favor of Carolina, and 3 stars of the game are Andreev, Jarvis, and Katachev. First period, no scoring. Second period, Brad Lambert gets things started for Carolina, make it 1-0, but then it's Denoye from Vananen and Pellizzari to make it 1-1, and then it's Spelkvist from Andreev and Carlson to make it 2-1, heading into the third, where is Frederick Larson with the goal from Vananen and Denoye to make it 3-1. Jack Allgood makes it 3-2, but it's not quite all good for Carolina, as Andreev with the goal from Pellizzari and Ellefson to make it a 4-2 win for us, and that will be a 3-0 lead in the series. So here we go into an elimination game 4, Stanley Cup Finals on the line. Here we go. There's the 1-0 lead. Roman Andreev with the goal from Neuenschwander and Zalidis. And there's 1-1. Jack Allgood with the goal. And there's 2-1. Belikov with the unassisted goal for Carolina. And that'll be it for 1. So we're going into the second period down by 1. And there's the 3-1 goal for Carolina, Svechnikov. And there's 4-1. Leo Kinnercio. Leo Kinnercio. Not entirely sure how to pronounce that one, but they're up 4-1 nonetheless. All right, there's 4-2 Palizari with the goal from Carlson and Spelkvist. But, and there's the 5-2 goal for them. Kusella with the goal with 3 seconds left in the period. So that is unfortunate timing there as we're down by 3 heading into the third period. All right, there's Andreev with the unassisted goal, but there's Seth Jarvis to make it 6-3 more than halfway through the period, and 7-3. Seth Jarvis with another one, and that will just about do it for game number 4. So Carolina gets their first win of the series, but we still have 3 more chances to win it here. Shots at 31-22 in favor of Carolina. 3 stars of the game: Kinnercio, Allgood, and Jarvis. All right, here we go. Game number 5 on home ice this time. Let's win it right here. And that will be a scoreless first period. So going into the second, shots 11-6 in favor of Carolina. They are on the power play for a brief moment as we step out on the ice for the start of the second. But let's not let that stop us from getting the first goal of the game. Here we go. And we have a scoreless second period as well. So it looks like both teams are trying to play it safe here. I'm not sure why we're playing it safe. I understand why Carolina might be trying to do that, but we should be trying to, we should be pushing here, So come on, Cocytus. There it is. Tyson Orr with the goal from Denoye and Vananen to make it 1-0. And there's 2-0 Andreev from Anderson and Russo. And there's 2-1 by Licia with the goal for Carolina. Interesting third period here, as that'll be it. We win in game number 5, and we are moving on to the Stanley Cup Finals. Shots at 25-24 in favor of Carolina. 3 stars of the game are Andreev, Bylicia, and Russo. And we will be facing the 46-30-6 Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Finals. So this should be an interesting matchup. Let's take a look at their roster. Oh boy, they have Melicheric and Tallis. Yeah, this will be fun. This will be a fun matchup. This this could be a brutal one. This could go to 7, in fact. They have a very good team as well. All right, here we go. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals against the Vegas Golden Knights. That will be a 3-2 Cocytus victory. That's what you'd like to see. Shots at 41-28 in favor of Cocytus. 3 stars of the game are Baxter, Carlson, and Bouchard. First period, Louis Carlson gets things started from Bouchard to make it 1-0. Then it's Zerker from Russo to make it 2-0. And then it's Eduardo Faris with the goal for them to make it 2-1. And then third period, you have Brownlee with the goal to make it 2-2. But then it's Baxter with the game-winning goal from Neuenschwander to make it a 3-2 game and a 1-0 series lead for us. All right, here we go. Game number 2 will be a 4-3 Vegas victory. Shots are 53-30 in favor of Vegas. 3 stars of the game: Melicheric, Vananen, and Golyayev. First period, you have Spelkvist getting things started for us from Andreev and Orr, and that's Denoye from Baxter and Vananen. So we took a 2-1 lead, or 2-0 lead, excuse me. And then heading in the second period, you have Danny Nelson with the goal for Vegas to make it 2-1. But then it's Vananen from Menhart and Carlson. So we took a 3-1 lead at one point. But then in the third period, it's, how do I pronounce that one? Vluswick? And then what is it with all these names? Vluswick and Kaiselli. Making a 3-3 game for Vegas, heading into overtime where it's Melicheric, their 5-star player, to make it a 4-3 Vegas victory. All right, here we go. Game number 3. That will be a 4-2 Cocytus victory. Shots are 42-41 in favor of Cocytus. 3 stars of the game are Denoye, Faris, and Katachev. First period, no scoring. Second period, Vluswick with the goal to make it 1-0 Vegas, heading into the third period where most of the scoring happened as Nordstrom gets the goal for them to make it 2-0. But then it is 4 unanswered Cocytus goals as Pelizzari makes it 2-1 from Vananen. Then you have Baxter from Spelkvist and Bouchard to make it 2-2. Vananen on the power play from Denoye and Carlson to make it 3-2. And then Carlson in the last minute of the game from Takmakov and Denoye to make it a 4-2 Cocytus victory. And we're up 2-1 in the series. All right, here we go. Game number 4, still in Vegas. That will be a 6-5 Cocytus victory. Shots at 48-46 in favor of Vegas. 3 stars of the game are Vananen, Melicheric, and Carlson. First period, no scoring. Second period is when the scoring started. Joe Tallis with the goal for them gets things started. And then Stepaniuk makes it 2-0. But then it's Baxter with the goal from Vananen and Bouchard to make it 2-1. And then Andreev from Zerker and Elofsson to make it 2-2. But then Simon Carlson to make it 3-2 in favor of Vegas. But then you have Zerker from Bouchard and Anderson to make it 3-3. Tyson Orr makes it 4-3 from Pellizzari. Then you have Denoye from Vananen and Carlson to make it 5-3. But then it's Simon Carlson and Golyayev for Vegas to make it 5-5 as we head into overtime, where we need a second overtime as Apo Vananen with the power play goal from Denoye and Carlson, Louis Carlson that is, to make it a 6-5 Cocytus victory, and we are up 3-1 in the series. Here we go. Game number 5, Stanley Cup in the building. Let's end this right here, Cocytus. And there's the first goal of the game for them on the first shot from Tomastik to make it 1-0. And there's 2-0. Mario Jankula with the goal. But then it's Caleb Denoye from Pellizzari to make it 2-1. All right, so we have our first goal of the game. Come on, 3-1. Tallis with the goal. And we head into the third period down by 2. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. All right, there's one. Neuenschwander from Baxter and Spelkvist. Give me one more. Stepaniak with the goal makes it 4-2. And wait a minute, 4-3. Andreev from Vananen and Carlson. It would have been nice if we hadn't let in that fourth one from Vegas, but we still have a slight chance here. Can we do something? No, but they get a goal instead. Simon Carlson with the goal makes it 5-3, and we head to a game 6. Shots of 34-28 in favor of Costas. 3 stars of the game are Vluswik, Pellizzari, and Stepaniak. All right, here we go. Elimination game number 6. Let's win this. Please don't push it to game 7. Come on, Cocytus. And that is a scoreless first period. We're out shooting them 13-6. So it's promising in terms of offensive possession, but we are not putting the puck in the back of the net where it matters. So here we go. Get it going in the second period. And there it is. Roman Andreev with his 14th of the playoffs. He's been so good these playoffs from Pellizzari to make it 1-0. But there's the 1-1 goal. Stepaniak for Vegas. And there's 2-1. Jankula. Third period underway. Come on, Cocytus. Oh man, 3-1. Melet Sherrick with the goal. And that will be it. We're headed to game 7. Oh man, that's unfortunate. Shots at 31-27 in favor of Vegas. 3 stars of the game, Jankula, Pellizzari, and Kaiseli. Oh, Stenberg's back. That's big. Stenberg is back for the final game of the playoffs. Let's get him back in there, and maybe he'll be the difference maker as we head into this game 7. Here we go. Game 7 underway. Who will it be? And there it is. First shot of the game, first goal, Roman Andreev unassisted. That is what you like to see. But unfortunately, Tomastik answers with an unassisted goal of his own on the first shot of Vegas's night to make it 1-1. But there's 2-1. Roman Andreev with the second of the game from Spelkvist and Orr. Come on, guys. Come on, boys. There it is, 3-1. Andreev with the hat trick early on in the first period from Orr and Baxter. And we're headed to the second period up by 2. There's 3-2. Ivan Nazarov with the goal. Come on, guys. Hold on to this lead. There it is. Tyson Orr with the 6th of the playoffs from Spelkvist and Andreev. Not going to get excited yet. We still got a full period left. We're only up by 2. Anything could happen. There it is, 5-2. Andreev with his 4th of the game from Spelkvist. And wait a minute. There's Simon Carlson. Makes it 5-3. 13 minutes left. Come on. Finish this off. Yes, let's go. Your Cocytus River Rats have won the Stanley Cup. There it is. Shots are 41-30 in favor of your Cocytus River Rats. 3 stars of the game. Andreev, he's so good. Tomastik and Orr. Wow, what a performance from Roman Andreev. Honestly, I think he very well, without even looking at the, yeah, I mean, he's got to get, he has to get the Conn Smythe. He has to. I mean, unless, if we take a look at, I mean, Katachev, yeah, he had a 921. Katachev, you can make the argument for Katachev too, but Andreev, like, he came through with so many clutch goals, especially in that last game with that 4-goal performance. Wow, that was just an all-around beautifully executed playoffs. I mean, obviously there was a few bumps. Obviously, we went to a game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals after being up 3-1, right? But in the end, we did win, and wow. Just a phenomenal performance from this team. And this is our first season with Jared Bednar as head coach, so might have been part of the reason why we won. I'm glad we hired Jared Bednar. Maybe Pascal Vincent retiring was for the best. I mean, he did us well. Vincent did very well for this team, right? I'm not discrediting what he did. But Bednar did manage to get this team over the hump. That was the second round and took us all the way to the Stanley Cup. So that was a fantastic run for this team. So obviously we already saw the goal stats here, but a 921 save percentage for Katachev in 23 games played. Absolutely phenomenal. He has just been, honestly, if we continue this series beyond this year, which we might, I'm not entirely sure yet. I was planning on just going until we won the Stanley Cup, right? Because, draft to glory. Because, once we have glory, that's kind of it. But we might still end up going past this year. I'm not sure yet. But if we do, Katachev, I've already decided. Katachev gets whatever he wants on his extension. He is the only goaltender who I've seen. The only goaltender who I have seen in this game consistently perform at an elite level. I mean, you look at all of his numbers over the years: 929, 920, 922, 927, 917, 911. That was his 1 year that he was, slightly below where he usually is, but even that's still good, right? The 911 is still pretty good numbers. And then you have a 921, 919 this year. And then during the playoffs, his playoff numbers were in question, right? For a while, they were in question. He had that 870 during the first playoff run. Then you have a 916 the following playoff run, but then an 886 last year. But this year, the 921 and 23 games played solidified his legacy as an elite goaltender. No questions asked. Like, he is, I will give him whatever he wants on his extension. He could ask for 15 million. I will give it to him because he has proven without a doubt that he is the guy in goal. He can stay here till retirement. He can retire here. Okay. It is very rare. It is extremely rare that I make an exception for the rule that I usually set for myself about not signing goaltenders to absurd contracts, right? But there's an exception to every rule, and Katachev is that exception for us, in goal at least. So, wow, he did phenomenal. He was phenomenal. And then Roman Andreev, of course, I already gushed about him. Obviously, he has his contract extension coming up, but you know what? Well worth every penny. Well worth every penny of that 12 million because he proved that not only is he consistent during the regular season with regular season point scoring, but also that he could absolutely clutch up and just take over when needed. And that is exactly what he did. 18 goals in 22 games played these playoffs. Absolutely unreal from Roman Andreev. This team, I'm telling you, this is as good as this team's going to get. So I may just call this series here. Just go out on a high note, I'm not sure yet. But wow, what a team. What a team. Spalquist with 22 points, Vananen with 21 points, Carlson with 19, Pelazari with 18. He was fantastic on defense for us. Then you have 16 for Denoya and Orr, Neuenschwander and Baxter with 15. So much depth on this team. Then you have Larson with 10, Elofsson and Bouchard with 9. So Bouchard didn't have as many points as I expected him to get, but still, nonetheless, it all worked out in the end, so I suppose I can't complain. Then you have Tokmakov with 8 points, Zerker with 7, Anderson with 6, Zalidis with 5, Russo with 4, and then Olofsson and Menhart with 1, and then Krivonek, Pasenka, Staritsky, Chinquo, all those guys didn't play. Stenberg had 1 game played, of course. He played that final game, and then Tanaka also had a game played. So, wow, just what a team. What a team. And there it is. Your 2035-36 Stanley Cup champions are the Cocytus River Rats. We went through Florida, Seattle in a sweep, Carolina, and Vegas. All right, now it's time for the awards. For the Ted Lindsay and the Art Ross, you have Hampus Bauer of Anaheim, who had 29 goals, 62 assists for 91 points. For the Maurice Richard, you have Stefan Pavlovkin of the Rangers. He had 47 goals this year, 35 assists for 82 points. Looks like a breakout season for him. For the Lady Byng Trophy, you have Mikhail Finenko of Nashville, 21 goals, 57 assists for 78 points. For the Bill Masterton is Marco Rossi of Utah, 5 goals, 25 assists for 30 points. For the Mark Messier Leadership Award is Nolan Fitzhenry of LA, 11 goals, 9 assists for 20 points. And the Jennings goes to Love Harenstam of Pittsburgh with a 916 save percentage and 2 shutouts in 58 games played. And then for the Hart between Hampus Bauer, Connor Bedard, and Andre Wero, it is Hampus Bauer of Anaheim. And for the Conn Smythe, this should be interesting. It could be either. I think it'll be Andreev, but it could also be Mr. Katachev. And yep, there it is. Roman Andreev wins the Conn Smythe, 27 points in 22 games played. Absolutely phenomenal performance from him. Now for the Calder between Keith Lee, Philip Sivertson, and Casey Kanawat, it is Philip Sivertson of Detroit with 57 points. And for the Norris between Zeev Buium, Andre Wero, and Drew Fraser, it is Zeev Buium of Toronto with 68 points. For the Selke between Stefan Pavlovkin, Elias Taipale, and Sawyer Dingman, it is Elias Taipale of the Islanders with 46 points in 82 games played. For the Vezina between Yakov Kazantsev, Carter Essler, and Denis Katachev, it is Carter Essler of Washington with a 921 save percentage and 5 shutouts in 67 games played. for the GM of the year between Jason Botterill, yours truly, Jasinner VT, and Chris Drury. It is Chris Drury of the Rangers. Okay, whatever. And for the Jack Adams, I'll get out of the way for this one. Between Matt Lark, Jared Bednar, and Jeff Halpern, it is Jared Bednar of your Cocytus River Rats. All right, at least Bednar got something. At least Bednar got Coach of the Year. I will take that. As for prospects that we're going to sign, I think we'll sign Vandermeer, but that's about it from this list as far as prospects that have deadlines. And then for upcoming FAs, I mean, I said it before, and I'll say it again. This team is as good as it's going to get for a long time. With Andreev's contract kicking in, we are going to have to unload some guys off this team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Ellefson may be one of those guys, unfortunately. I mean, he was very good for us this year, 48 points on the back end. I would love to re-sign him, but it's just a matter of, cap obligations and keeping everybody together here. According to our cap space, we currently have 27.3 million, but starting next season, starting the 2036-37 season, we're going to have 15.7, which I'm not sure if we're going to have enough for Ellefson. He wants 5.1 for 3 years. Like I said, I would love to do that, but it's a matter of, I just don't know if we're going to be able to afford this. Bystrom wants 2 mil for 3 years. I'll let him walk. I mean, he's a 3-star goaltender. He's in our AHL, so he can go. And you have Anderson. He wants 1.2 for 2 years. I will do that for him. That's a nice cheap deal for a 3-star player. I mean, obviously, star ratings aren't everything, but still cheap depth, right? For an NHL caliber player, I'll definitely sign him to that. He had 29 points this past season, 56th grade, 64 hits. And what do you do in the playoffs? 6 points in 23 games played. So yeah, that's a solid depth player for when you need him. Frederick Larson wants 2.6 for 3 years. I don't know. Not sure if we're going to be able to afford him. Russo wants 1.9 for 3 years. I'll sign Chingguo. He's nice and cheap. I'll sign Tanaka as well. But yeah, a lot of big decisions to be made as far as who we're going to need to unload this offseason, because if we do decide to continue past this episode with this team, then we're definitely going to need to be unloading at least somebody, right? I'm just not sure wwho that is yet. So I think it might be for the best to end things off here. And I will say that we will do at least one more episode. Another thing we could do is we could change up the goal of this series, right? Obviously we completed the draft of glory, right? That we've achieved glory, right? So maybe we could do something else with this team. So definitely gonna have to think on that, but I will do at least one more episode of this regardless, just to sort of wrap things up, right? Because this has been a very large series. This has been obviously a very memorable series, at least for me. So that being said, I think we'll end things off here, but not before, of course, I thank the channel members. Thank you guys so much for all your support, and I'll see you guys in the next one when we celebrate our Stanley Cup victory.